Hello everyone and welcome back to C.A.R. Entertainment. I'm your host Dylan Hamilton, and today guys we're going to be doing more A22 business studies guys, and this time we're going to be talking about business cycles, and then we're going to just finish up with a wee bit of consumer confidence because it relates a wee bit back to the business cycle. So we're going to do those both in one. Hopefully it'll be a seamless edit and you won't know what it is. The transition between the two PowerPoints, but anyway, we're going to get into this here. It's a wee bit of A22, it's a wee bit of economics, etc. But hopefully it's okay for you. The business cycle is quite a nice topic actually. I quite enjoy it. So what is it then? The business or economic cycle is a fluctuation of economic activity about its long-term growth trend. It involves a shift over time between periods of growth and output, and there's periods of relative stagnation or decline. This will all make sense whenever we show you the diagrams, so don't be panicking. All countries will experience a regular up and down in the growth of output and jobs and incoming spending. Now, the business and economics, so you think, oh, it's a cycle for business. It's actually a cycle for the economy of a country, but it's known as the business cycle, and because businesses have the major impact on it. So this is a definition you need to learn about GDP. We mentioned it previously, I think, in macroeconomics, but this is someone that I prefer you to learn because it's a better definition. So gross domestic product, or GDP, is the monetary value of all the finished goods and services produced within a country's borders in a specific time period, whilst measuring the size of the economy. Now, GDP will not increase at a constant rate. There will be variations. A high rate will usually be above 3%, but the average rate is about 2.5%. And you may need around 1%, and it's been about 1% since year 2000 in the United Kingdom. Now, if GDP decreases enough, then a recession will occur, and you've heard that term a lot, I'm pretty sure, over the last couple of years. But also, a change in the rate of growth of GDP over time will be known as the economic or business cycle. So, a change in the growth of GDP is the economic or business cycle. That is essentially what it is. So, there's the business cycle there in your bottom right hand corner. You'll see whenever the economy expands or an increase in GDP, you'll have prosperity and you'll reach a peak. And then if it decreases in GDP, you'll have a recession. If it decreases enough, you'll reach a depression and a trough. And then you may go into a recovery phase, which the UK is technically currently still in. I think we're more on the edge of prosperity now, but we might go into another recession whenever Brexit hits. So those are the phases of a business cycle. We'll go into each of them in depth. So GDP then, there's two key features. Well, it will grow over time, and the long run trend is positive. It's about 2.5% per annum in the UK. It will fluctuate as it grows, as GDP will exhibit business cycle movements varying between plus 4% and minus 6%, goes in between that. And GDP is made up of NX, which is net exports, exports minus imports. You'll have I, which is businesses' capital spending, G, government spending, and C, private consumption or consumer spending. The uses of GDP is you can compare economies to others to determine your competitiveness. It can estimate the country's standard of living, and it's a common indicator to gauge economic health. So a boom then. A boom is always known as expansion or prosperity and peak. So a boom. A boom occurs whenever real national output is rising at a rate faster than the trend rate of growth. Characteristics of a boom include that you have a fast growth of consumption, which is helped by rising real incomes. You pick up demand for capital goods as businesses will invest in extra capacity. More jobs, therefore unemployment will fall, and higher real wages will be prevalent. You also have high import demand, so you will run a larger trade deficit as there's not enough to supply goods. Government tax revenues will rise as people will earn and spend more, so companies make a larger profit, and you'll also increase in inflationary pressures if the economy have a positive gap output. So we lead then into a recession, and there's different types here. So for example, we have a slowdown, which is occurring whenever the rate of growth decelerates, but national output will still rise. Okay, so you're not fully going into a recession. And then you also have a soft landing, which is whenever the economy regrows without falling into a recession. So GDP will decrease, but you won't quite fall into a recession. A recession is a significant decline in economic activity spread across the economy, which lasts more than a few months and is normally visible in real GDP, real income, employment, and industrial production and retail sales. The symptoms are a fall in purchases of components and raw materials, a rising of unemployment and there's fewer jobs, a rise in the number of business failures, decline in consumer and business confidence, which we'll get on to later, and a drop in import and export values with large price discounts and the government tax revenues falling. Then if it gets really bad, you'll go into a slump or a depression, which is a prolonged and deep recession leading to a significant fall in output and average living standards. The GDP will fall by more than 10% from peak to trough. This is what happened to Greece. Then if you go into recovery, real GDP will pick up from the trough, and it may be subdued if the business will anticipate that it's temporary. So basically, it won't really go into recovery. You'll sort of just stay in your operating profit as in when you were in a recession or a depression. A recovery in the UK since 2008 has seen a cut in interest rates that fell to 0.5% in autumn of 2008 and has stayed at this low level. You also see a rise in government borrowing with more quantitative easing as the Bank of England wishes to pump more money into banking to increase the supply of goods. So GDP, it's a very difficult thing to forecast, and when making this forecast, you have to accept the inevitability of forecast errors, as no model can cope with fluctuations and volatility of the indicators such as inflation. And it's very difficult to forecast as because of these uncertain business confidence levels, the fluctuations in exchange rates, external events such as volatile oil prices, uncertain reactions to the macro policy changes, and a rate of businesses' job creations are hard to forecast. The economic policy and the economic cycle. Well, the government will take control of the fluctuations in economic growth using the fiscal and monetary policy to achieve objectives, and we will cover these later on. In 1994 to 2008, the focus was on interest rates, also known as the monetary policy, to control inflation. Supply-side policies were introduced to achieve a constant growth, and interest rates were at a record low, so the government were able to increase money supply through quantitative easing in an attempt to increase economic activity. So business confidence here, and then we'll do a wee bit about inflation, then we'll go on to more about consumer confidence, etc. So the importance of business confidence is that consumers' confidence will relate to employment, inflation, and real incomes, along with the growth of health wanted measured by the Confidence Board, as it has been a strong contributor to confidence. The rising stock market prices will also boost consumer confidence because it means, right, this company's making a lot of money, therefore share price increase, therefore I'm investing more because I want to get a bigger dividend. So understanding confidence just is quite essential for a business. Inflation, very simple. Inflation is a general rising of prices over time. High inflation will mean higher prices, less disposable income, less spending power, less purchase, leading to a contraction in the business cycle. So I'll now see you guys for whenever we go and talk about consumer confidence. Okay guys, so welcome back here. Now we're going to talk about consumer confidence. It's a very, very short slide, only two slides in this here. So basically, what is consumer confidence? Well, consumer confidence will survey the measured range of consumer attitudes, including economic growth, household debt, unemployment, and house prices. So this is basically how confident they are in business and the economy based on this. So as you see from the diagram about consumer confidence from 2000 to 2017, and in 2009 that dipped a long way down because of the recession. Economic growth wasn't there, everyone was in debt, they weren't employed, and house prices were at a decent height as well, so people weren't really that confident. So the business confidence index, this is all you really need to know about it because we talked about the importance of business confidence. So you just really need to know these little definitions. But the business confidence index, or the BCI, will provide information on future developments based upon an opinion survey, orders, and stocks. It's used to monitor the output of growth and to anticipate turning points in economic activity. The Consumer Confidence Index, or the CCEA, provides an indication of future developments of the household consumption and savings based upon answers regarding about general economic situation, employment, and capability of savings. Thanks for watching this video. I've been Dylan Hamilton from C.A.R. Entertainment, and I'll see you next time.